I'll quickly give you my thoughts on the whole woke thing. So woke is essentially a derogatory term for being like progressive, or at least like self-righteously progressive. Like you're insulting someone for being like, oh look at me, I'm so progressive, I'm so liberal, I'm so like new wave, all this stuff. Like woke is almost a derogatory term, it's like, oh it's trendy now. Now I get the need to want to criticise this vein of self-righteous attitude. Whether we like it or not, there has been this commodification of like progressive thinking, where so many of these huge gigantic companies insincerely pander to this woke trend. There is just a lot of disingenuous endorsements of progressive concepts at the moment going about. When it comes to these big companies like Netflix and Disney, it is all about money. It is all about capitalizing off of these trends. There isn't any strange conspiracy or like agenda going on. It is just about money. I know that's a cliche, but that is literally it. It is completely amoral. And because companies take these sociological issues at like face value, the way they put it across in media is very blatant and one-dimensional and unnuanced. So for instance, there'll be the female empowerment movement, and the way they put it across will be in this rigid, careless, naive way where they essentially say women good, men bad, because they've simplified the issue. They'll almost opt for a reverse sexist approach against the men. There'll be pieces of media that'll seem to almost say things like women are like more important than men, men's suffering isn't as valid as women's suffering.
So I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you.
Men are just inherently worse than women. You do see a lot of mean-spirited kind of messages in films every now and then. Again, it is the result of a cynical company that is not at all morally aware of things in the world trying to capitalise off a trend. There is a partial stigmatism of the straight white male demographic, or whatever you want to call it, which isn't right. It's just none of this is very helpful. And like you have that female good, man bad sort of thing going on, you also have like black people good, white people are the fucking devil, that sort of thing, which I'm not all for at all. I have to be honest, the kind of person to use words like white privilege just really strikes me as kind of a cunt. To me, it's just another one of those, oh, kids in Africa could have eaten that. Like, yeah, there's some truth to it, but you just seem like a self-righteous arsehole if you always bring it up. And it's just the way they talk down to you. They're just like, oh, you do know the white person on average has like a better life than the black person. It's just like, yes, I've known this for quite some time now. I've known what racism was for as long back as I can remember. Honestly, I just get this impression that these like stupid uni students have like only just figured out that racism exists. It's like, yeah, this has been going on. Yes, we know. I talked about this in my sex education video I did like a year ago. There's a scene in that where Gillian Anderson's character is essentially being racist and sexist towards the straight white male demographic.
Yes, ignore the pregnant woman and listen to the straight white man, for fuck's sakes.
And there's a point where she uses the terminology, oh look, it's another one, oh great, oh it's another one, when another straight white male comes into the room.
How can I help you?
Oh, that's fantastic. Another one.
And the scene is playing it off as if she's like justified and morally in the right for doing that. And I'm just like, how fucking dystopian is this shit getting? Like, that's quite an appalling message there. But I give him the benefit of the doubt and just say, well, it's just like some naive writers that just think that men are inherently bad and it's okay to be like reverse sexist and reverse racist. I don't think I've actually used the word woke in any of my YouTube reviews so far. I'm going to try and keep it that way, just because it's such a reductive word. But you are allowed to critique like insincerely pandering to these trends. Films making a big deal out of cast members being black or gay or like female, where it just really shouldn't matter at this point. It's positive discrimination, but it is still the commodification of these races and genders, etc. But then because of all this, you have people who are right-leaning, and they see all of this, and they think, oh my god, it's this big woke conspiracy, they're gonna try and convert us all to be gay or some shit. They like take it out, blow it out of proportion. They think it's all this big interconnected web of this woke agenda. These things like being gay or being black, they really just shouldn't be that big a deal. They're just things. They're part of people, but at the end of the day, it doesn't completely define them. The LGBT plus community is a whole other thing. Because if you look at that closely, like all of those acronyms and what they all stand for, it's this ridiculously broad spread of people that have all just been lumped into one category. And I get why that's done for convenience sakes in terms of like them trying to get rights. It's just sometimes easier to rally behind a banner. But at the end of the day, this is just stuff like a person's sexual orientation. Like that doesn't 100% define that person. That doesn't 100% define an individual. It's honestly just nothing. It's just like dudes who like other dudes or women who like other women. It just should be nothing. You shouldn't even have to think about that. And it's just this reckless compartmentalization of like sexual preferences. And again, it's like the old unoriginal joke to be like the LGBT S57 or whatever, but it is a ridiculously arbitrarily sounding name. And it does kind of deserve criticism for that, because it's just all these different people, these vast amount of different people in one box. I've in the past looked up what the different acronyms mean, and they're just so like recklessly assigned, and so many of them contradict each other, and it's just a big fat mess, and you just don't need all of these labels. I like eating dick and there's nothing else to it. It does also bother me that like even though the left are just as equally capable of being radical and extreme and dangerous as the right, they get a pass because their ideology correlates with popular trends at the moment. Left-wing people are allowed to act and think in extremely outlandish ways, and again, when it comes to the movie making and artistic realm, they are essentially the no fun police. Theirs is the dominant say regarding what is allowed and what's not on the internet. YouTube's wrapped up in it as well. When I'm making videos and I have to start worrying about whether or not what I'm making is going to be allowed or eligible on YouTube, it isn't the right wing that I'm worried about. It's not the right wing that I have to worry about. Honestly, my opinion of YouTube is that it should be a bastion of freedom of speech. Anything should go. I don't give a fuck. I view YouTube as a platform for artistic expression, and I think that anything should go, as is the case with every other artistic medium. Anything goes. Nothing is sacred. Nothing is untouchable. One of my biggest grievances in starting this channel is that I completely miss the golden age of YouTube. More and more do I get the sense that this is all just pointless and it's only going to get worse from here. And yeah, overall I guess I just inherently feel compelled to critique the left because not many other people are doing it at the moment. After this video I don't want to have to talk about any of this again, but it is likely that subjects in this similar vein are going to come up based on like what the left's influence is on Hollywood at the moment. And the fact that there are all of these empty trends and brands and these insincere gestures from like big companies like Disney. If we were in the middle of the 80s, it'd be a completely different story. I'd constantly be going on about how there's all this anti-gay stuff going on from the conservative Christian crowd, but the fact of the matter is, it is just not the case anymore. If we were in the 60s, I'm sure I'd be critiquing how like every female has to be a damsel in distress, but now every female has to be this like, I'm going to emasculate all the men around me and all the men are worthless, every fucking man just deserves to die. Rigid messages coming from all directions.